AI is moving fast, but real value doesn't come from hype. It comes from people, practice, and learning together. Welcome to the Copilot and Teams Users Group, where AI and the AI-powered workplace get real. Your hosts for the Copilot and Teams Users Group are leaders working at the intersection of AI, collaboration, and real-world execution. Preston Piney, Director of AI Workforce at Microsoft, Aaron Miller, Principal Solutions Engineer at Microsoft, and Ryan Herbst, Chief Strategist at Unified Communications. This is a monthly online show and users group session designed for learning, sharing, and accelerating real AI value. The first 45 minutes are live and open to everyone, broadcast on LinkedIn, YouTube, and into the exclusive members-only users group meeting. This public segment features panel discussions, expert interviews, real-world demonstrations, plus news and analysis centered on Copilot, Teams, and the AI-powered workplace. Then we transition to something different. The second 45 minutes are a non-recorded, members-only users group session restricted to qualifying mid-market and enterprise end users. This is a trusted space, a shared journey, where members learn, explore, and openly share what's really working with the goal of accelerating AI value inside their organizations and personally. If you'd like to apply to join the members-only users group, You'll find a link in the show notes below. This show is made possible by our standing sponsors: Microsoft, bringing Copilot and the AI-powered workplace vision to life; AI Producer, a Teams native production studio that upscales Teams meetings, town halls, and events, and is being used to produce this show; Unified Communications, a global integrator and Microsoft partner that consults, deploys, and supports organizations in bringing their vision for a modern AI-powered workplace to life. With deep expertise across Copilot and Teams adoption, Teams Rooms and AV, Teams Phone, and Microsoft Places. Each episode also features a rotating show sponsor, highlighting innovation across the ecosystem. Whether you're just starting with Copilot or scaling it across the enterprise, you're in the right place. This is about real experiences, real lessons, and real outcomes. Let's get started. Welcome to the June Copilot and Teams Users Group live broadcast. I'm Ryan Herbst, Chief Strategist with Unified Communications, and we're really excited that you've joined us for another show that should be jam-packed with goodness.
Awesome. I'm Preston Piney. I'm a Copilot Global Black Belt at Microsoft, and this is going to be one of the best discussions I think we've had yet. Looking forward to it.
And that would make me Aaron Miller. I'm a Principal Solutions Engineer with Microsoft. And I think we're going to have one of the more exciting sessions we've had so far in our short time span. So
good stuff. Yeah. And just a reminder, you heard this in the intro video, but if you work for a company with 750 or more employees and you're an end user, you're not a reseller or a consultant or a vendor, we would love to extend an invitation for you to join the members-only Copilot and Teams Users Group session, which takes place monthly, immediately following this live broadcast. Actually, our members are watching this in a watch meeting. You can scan the QR code that you see on the screen to request access. We'll even try to get you into today's session, but you'll also be notified of future monthly sessions.
Hey, if it's okay, guys, I want to just introduce somebody special joining us today. Kelly Brown Alexander is one of Microsoft America's Copilot strategists. I've had the privilege of working with Kelly for years now in multiple roles that I've been at with Microsoft. And I'm thrilled to have her with us because Kelly really helps organizations all across the Americas adopt Microsoft 365 Copilot and really transform the way that people kind of work with AI. So she's really passionate about making AI practical and approachable and impactful. So I think today you guys are going to get a lot out of what she's going to share. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kelly, where she can help us figure out how we're going to get the most out of Copilot and PowerPoint.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Preston. And thank you all for having me today. I'm looking forward to getting some really good, meaty, new information of how we're working, especially in Copilot. So I want to start off with a quick gut check, which I know pretty much all of us on this call could resonate with. And that's about how often have you had to spend at least 20 minutes or more hunting for the latest version of your company's logos or your company's branding material? Or even going back to different decks that you've had and you're pulling from different decks and then you end up with like 3 different shades of purple or blue. I know it's happened to me more recently than I could actually admit. But this is something that we all resonate with, where we end up spending more time actually formatting than thinking about the messaging and the content that's going to go into our presentations. The fonts are wrong, the colors are off, the logos all stretched, and they don't look appropriate for the resolution that we're going for. So today I want to spend some time showing you something that takes the polished work off of your plate. And that is called utilizing something that we created called brand kits, right? And that's where AI and PowerPoint creates presentations on brand from the very first slide. So you're probably thinking, okay, Kelly, this sounds pretty interesting, but what exactly is a brand kit, right? Brand kits is your organization's approved look and feel all in one place. Your logos, your colors, your fonts, your imagery, even your brand voice is located in one content pack for you to access. So the key idea here is instead of every employee guessing at the brand kit teaches Copilot what your organization should look and sound like. so that AI can get a first class understanding really of your brand, and it builds it out automatically whenever you're creating these more complex slides or presentations. And it centralizes all of your assets in one place. So no more digging around, no more going into old PowerPoint slides trying to pull out what we think our company's branding is if it hasn't changed, right? You can also then upload your brand guidelines via PDF. So it has to be in PDF form. But what that uploading the guidelines allows AI to do is extract the rules for you regarding those colors, the voices, and the different styles of your company's branding. And it supports multiple brands. So you can create multiple brand kits depending on the audience that you're speaking to. And we'll get to that here shortly. And the key thing, too, is for your users that have the Copilot Premium license, they can start to utilize and play around with creating their brand kits today. So I'm going to show you a short clip here of how you even access your brand kits. You'll go to your M365 Copilot application and you'll navigate to the Create tool. In this tool, you'll be able to upload your logos. You'll be able to even play around with the hues of your colors and your fonts for your branding. And this is also the interface where you can upload those brand guidelines as well. So there are more ways to utilize these brand kits and really understanding how this even works, right? So we've understand how we access it through the M365 Copilot application, going to create. But how does a brand kit actually work? Now, this is Copilot understanding your templates, your photos as we see fit, the typography that you have, and it helps you to generate AI slides that instead of needing that cleanup and having to go back and fix where the different logos are, this is going to automatically generate this slide where are these templates for you. So it unpacks the details of the template assets that you provide. So as you saw in the last click path, we were actually able to upload our logos, our colors. We were able to do those things manually so that it's set in that brand kit content pack per se. So when you're building out a presentation, you're not starting from your generic blank presentation slide. You're actually starting from your personalized or your company-wide PowerPoint templates, all right? Which is the perfect setup for what I actually want to show you. So now that we understand a little bit about brand kits and how it works, I want to go ahead and show you really quickly how this looks and how we get to it. But I think I missed one thing. So I'm going to go back because I think that this is important that we talk to you about the type of brand kits. So here you see three different types or three different styles of brand kits that you can create. And that is for your official brand kits, these are created by your brand managers and published company-wide. So if you're looking for something that you're going to send out to your customers, you want it more of a golden standard, that's where you would utilize your official type of brand kit that your brand managers are going to provide access for you, okay? And then we have our shared brand kits, where these are made for specific teams or specific projects that you're working on. No brand managers are needed for this particular experience. You simply create that brand kit and then you share it out with the people that you're working closely with or the people that you're currently working on a specific project with. And then lastly, we have that personal interface, which is just for you. And anyone, like I said, with a premium license can go ahead and start to play around with this. And if you have a certain style or a certain flavor as you're introducing content, this will be that interface that only you will have access to. Now, one thing to keep in mind here is with those shared kits and those personal kits, these can later be promoted to official brand kits. So if you're one of those rock stars here like Preston and Aaron that plays around with these type of interfaces and creates this amazing content or slideware, your official brand manager for your company can decide, hey, let's make sure that everyone can access this as a part of our gold standard. So at a later time, when you're thinking about playing around or you're just testing some of the tools in that brand kit, who knows? It could soon be utilized for company-wide. So keep that in mind, because I think that that is a great fit with understanding that these experiences are customizable for different audiences. And that's the most important part here. So again, all of the talking about brand kits, showing how it works, I want to actually get into what that looks like. So let's get into it. Now I'm in PowerPoint and I have a rough idea about what I want to create, but I need to utilize Copilot to add more detail. And I want to customize the model. For this particular instance, I'm going to utilize the auto feature for the type of model for reasoning. And I want to ask this to create a presentation about the latest trends of bike sales worldwide. And as you can see here, we just navigated to the brand kit pack that I had. And you see the reasoning and the steps that's happening along the way, where it's asking me certain questions. And the most important piece here as well is adding that human layer of interface into this AI experience that you're seeing here within Copilot. So yes, it's doing that reasoning. It's asking you where you want to pull data from, but it's also asking for that approval, right? So it allows the humans to still think about the content that they're putting into their presentations while taking off the additional labor by creating these polished experiences where it's doing it all for you. So as you were able to see, I wasn't doing any of this, right? I simply picked the brand kit that I wanted to utilize that was baked with all of the fonts and colors and styles that my company wanted me to utilize, and Copilot did the rest. I gave it the information, or I told it the information that I wanted to utilize and make sure that the content or the outputs was accurate to what I wanted to see. And from there, Cowork did the rest, or Copilot did the rest. I'm getting ahead of myself here, Preston, with Cowork, but we all love it here. All right. So one of the aha moments here that you're going to see is, one, it allows marketing teams to move a whole lot faster without having to police the decks and what's actually being produced to the public. Executives get the clean and consistent presentations without a designer, because I don't know about you guys, but for me, when it came to making slides all pretty, I was constantly going to the Microsoft design team to help me make this look magnificent for the presentation that I was preparing for. And then it allows you to spend time on different ideas. All right. So let's go ahead and continue, because I want to show you one other quick thing before we wrap up. And that is adding even more context layers into this experience with brand kits and with Copilot inside of PowerPoint. Again, being able to select the model. I usually personally leave it on auto for Copilot to do its thing. And then I want to ask for even more detail about creating or adding different mountain bikes into our product lineup. You'll see that Copilot is going to ask here if I want to pull from my internal documentation. My audience is going to be my product group. And then I want this to be an executive style presentation, really medium, not too many slides, but I want the slides to be meaty and full of context. And the results that I am going to get, that, as you can see here, this is literally in the matter of minutes. And I mean under 2 minutes that we are receiving this information. I can even select which internal documentations I want to be reasoned over as I'm creating this content. So it's happening here. It's giving me all the checkboxes and steps that Copilot is taking to give me that output. And as you can see, it's still on brand, right? We're not looking at generic slides. We're looking at our company slides. We're not looking at slides that we have to go add a different layer of flavor into. We are looking at the slideware or at the branding material that has been provided to us with the click of a button. All right. So with that, here's a real world shift. AI is starting to handle the repetitive, polished work as we've been exploring over this time for people to actually focus on the communication, the storytelling, and the decisions. And when you think about it, even in the line of work that Preston and I get into every day, the storytelling is the most important piece. Having the slideware to back us up with AI is one thing, but we need to be able to tell a narrative about how we're utilizing and how we're saving time. Remember, for those of you with a Copilot Premium license, you can go ahead and access this interface today. If you need any help, I know we're going to have the call after this where we can have Q&A and answer any questions that you may have. Brand managers, I know that this is probably a mind-blowing moment for you and how much time that you're going to save and the ease of the default for everyone to access within your company. So thanks, team, so much for the time today. I'm looking forward to definitely spending more time with this audience, and I'll turn it back over to you, Preston.
Thanks, Kelly. That was awesome. That was a great masterclass. So for everybody who doesn't know, I asked Kelly to come do this because, frankly, I am doing workshops with executives and people all the time, and this is by far the number one thing that I get asked for is how do I get my PowerPoint to follow our company brand guidelines, all those types of things, so it looks like everything else I produce. And so this is a really big deal for me personally to have that expertise. So thanks for coming and sharing. But I know for most of you, this has come up multiple times as well. So Kelly, I think you nailed it. I appreciate you coming on with relatively short notice and doing this for us. That was awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
All right, Ryan, what do we got up next, man?
Okay, up next is our sponsor spotlight. Logitech is our June sponsor, was our sponsor in May. So thank you, Logitech, for joining us once again. I'd like to welcome Diego Gentili with Logitech back to the show. And Diego, again, huge thanks to you and Logitech for the continued support. Had a couple of quick questions for you. I know we were both at InfoComm last week. It was good to see you. And we certainly know that meeting spaces are an important part of the AI-powered workplace story. And so just a couple quick questions for you. A lot of recent product introductions, including last week at InfoComm in the room space. But I wanted to ask you just if you had to pick one, tell me something you're particularly excited about.
Thanks, Ryan, and thanks for having us again. Happy to sponsor and love hearing what's going on. At InfoComm, our greatest showcase item or product that we showed for the first time was the Rally AI camera and the Rally AI Camera Pro. These are particularly noteworthy, completely redesigning PTZ motors, intelligent AI-driven modules, and design that makes upgrading from existing Rally cameras pretty straightforward. Their backwards compatibility with the Rally Plus deployments make it a plug and play regarding replacing one camera with the other. Copilot and facilitator in Teams rooms was something that was key also. The session around Right Sight 2 and Right Sound 2, speaker recognition, and the facilitating agent points were compelling and showing how AI is really being used in the conference room technology nowadays.
Makes perfect sense. And these are powerful products. And I think we know that AI is changing the experience, making it more inclusive, more powerful, more equitable, and then creating a set of tools and agents that are running in these spaces that are definitely making groups of humans more productive when we meet in person. You were on last month, and we had Brennan from the Places product group on, and he certainly went deep into the role of Places and how important insights are in creating and optimizing the workplace. I know Logitech has a sensor product called Spot, and just thought maybe you could share with the audience a couple quickly, kind of where you think Spot fits into the AI-powered workplace story.
Absolutely. So Spot is a versatile presence and environmental sensor. It's designed to deliver precise, actionable insights into how spaces are used and the quality of the environment within them. It handles occupancy, room health, and energy efficiency in each room, and it fits in technology in spaces where there's little or no technology. Think meeting pods, phone booths, lounge areas, It also enables workplace automations directly with auto book and auto release. So we all have that conference room that is always booked but never used. Having Spot in there will free up those kinds of conference rooms for other people to come in and use freely.
Awesome. Diego, thank you again for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for that, Ryan and Diego. Let's see. So now I'd like to bring up a topic that I'm running into nearly every day. In my role, I work with customers of all sizes and talk with employees across departments, roles, varying comfort levels with AI. Some organizations are on the bleeding edge and ready to try almost every new capability that as soon as it comes out. Others are still getting comfortable with the first AI chat experiences from a few years ago, which I don't know about you, but it feels like both pretty new and like forever ago, right? Like that stuff's been going on for a while, but also didn't it just come out? In the even in the more AI forward organizations, adoption is not uniform. People are still trying to figure out where these tools fit into their day-to-day work, which tool's the right fit for a given task, and more recently, whether the extra capabilities are worth the extra costs. To me, that confusion is important to explore because the confusion is no longer about whether AI can help with a task. It's about which tool is the right tool and the cost to get that work done. So I wanted to present a couple questions to Ryan and Preston here and see kind of what experiences they're running into and the advice they're giving. So first question, and I'm just going to read them all out and then we'll let you guys respond. So one, I'm curious what you're hearing at your customers and how are you helping them make sense of the different tools in the market? Two, how should customers think about value when the tools are changing so quickly? Is it productivity, quality of work, employee experience, cost avoidance, or something else entirely? And three, if leaders are listening and trying to make decisions today, is there a framework that works not only for today, but as a rubric for the next breakthrough that changes how everyone thinks about AI and what AI can do?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'm going to jump in here. Is that cool?
Absolutely.
So I love to talk about this. Comes up all the time for me if we're talking about Copilot or Cowork or Scout, and I like to go really deep and help people get lots of examples. I'm going to try something different. Why don't I try like this simple explanation? You guys tell me what you think about it. So think about Copilot's like Aaron, you and me sitting down together, figuring something out, right? Drafting, summarizing, thinking it, like you're just right there with me. That's how Copilot works, right? You're just right there, right? Cowork's something completely different, right? Let's say, Ryan, I don't want to do this at all, man. I just want you to handle it, right? And so it actually Cowork is like that scenario where I just delegate it. It just goes off and does it across Outlook and Teams and files and all that. Now, I think Scout, which is new, it's still in preview, right? It's not generally available yet, but it's kind of a wild one. It's not waiting for you to ask at all. It's watching sort of what matters and keeping things moving. So it's almost like someone on your team who maybe never drops the ball. So I don't think the question is which one's better by any means. I think it's more of what kind of help do you need right now? So here's the way I boil it down. Super simple. Thinking, Copilot. Doing, Cowork. And then running in the background, that's Scout. I don't know what you guys think, but that's my simplest explanation I've come up with.
Yeah, I kind of like that. I was going to say, I like that you used us as the example. So where I am a kind of what we would call individual contributor, right? I see in the workforce collaborating with me one-on-one is that let's just kind of work together. And then Ryan has a team of people. And so he was your Cowork example. So he might task out other people just like Cowork might spin multiple threads out of things. So it was actually a really apt example. I don't know if you intentionally picked us that way,
Yes.
but kind of kind of worked out.
Yeah, I know that the struggle here is real around kind of knowing what to use and when. And so, yeah, I wanted to kind of share just how I'm thinking about it, and I think all of us spending a lot of time trying to make sure we really have a good sense of what to use when. I think your point, Preston, chat is really, it's a conversation. It's kind of turn by turn. It's something I'm doing in the moment. Cowork is a project. So I'm going to delegate something, and I want it to bring back some finished work. And Scout is more like a standing arrangement. Like it's always on. It's a personal agent. It holds my priorities. It takes directions. So a couple of scenarios. I just wanted to try to see if we could make this real for the audience. Just thinking through maybe 3 scenarios, and one where I would use chat, one where I would use Cowork, one where I would use Scout. So first with chat, it's Tuesday morning, and I work for an IT managed service provider. We've got a call with a customer. It's at the top of the hour. I've got 5 minutes before my meeting to get ready, and this is usually where everything starts to fall apart in your day. So you open your inbox and you're searching for the customer's name, and you're trying to gather insights from previous emails and hop it into CRM and checking with the service desk to see if they had any open tickets, and you end up kind of coming pretty unprepared or late to the meeting. And this is a scenario where I could easily tell Copilot Chat, look, I have a customer renewal call at the top of the hour, pull the last 3 emails, check support tickets, check their recent purchase history, and give me a quick read on the relationship, right? That kind of thing. And a minute later, I've got a brief that pulled from my inbox and service desk and CRM, and I walk in prepared. So it's kind of a reactive single ask. I'm like in the driver's seat the whole time. I'm not handing it off and going away. Chat just helped me kind of get there faster. Why this isn't a job for Cowork or Scout, Cowork would be overkill for this. Like, it's not a multi-step process and a plan. I just need some answers back in a couple of seconds. And Scout, we'll talk more about, but it's really something that's going to persist. Let's talk about a Cowork scenario. So different morning, it's Monday. I've got a quarterly business review due in 9 days. I haven't even started it. So instead of blocking 4 hours like I normally would, and pulling sales data from one system and forecasts from another, and building some Excel analysis, and creating an executive deck and a Word document, and all the stuff that we all know that would probably take me a half a day, I try something different. So I ask Cowork to do this. So I delegate essentially the whole task. I say something like, hey, get me ready for the Q3 business review, pull some actuals from our sales data, compare them to the forecast that we set, identify the 3 biggest variances and likely causes, draft an executive summary, create a deck. And use my standard QBR template, and use the brand template that Kelly just showed us. Then I close my laptop and I go to my next meeting. A very different experience. Here's Cowork is kind of working in the background. It's building a plan, which is 6, 7, 8 steps in this instance that it has to complete, and it's reaching up across all of those things: Excel and CRM and SharePoint, my inbox, and it may pop in and ask me some clarifying questions that I need to answer, and I could do that from my phone in between meetings. And hour later, let's say, or less, I've got a deck and the executive summary, and it's handing me back some work product that I now just need to review. Like anything in the AI world, it's not, this is not finished product that doesn't take my brain, but I've got a lot of great content, and I'm close to finished. And lastly, with Scout, I think this is where people are really trying to wrap their heads around it, and it's fair because I think most of us, not everybody has access to this. This is still, as you said, Preston, in early access and frontier. This is where I think things get really interesting. So you think of this as this always-on personal agent. It's going to have its own identity inside my organization, and it kind of operates within the permissions and policies that IT has set. And so I think there's kind of 2 modes to kind of think about this. One is like you give it some standing instructions, like, hey, you're my chief of staff. And this is, again, not like a one-time thing. This is indefinite. And so I might say, hey, Scout, every Monday at 7 a.m., send me a brief on the week ahead. What's on my calendar, what's overdue from my team, any escalations from customers sitting in my inbox, or something like, hey, Scout, my one-on-ones with my direct reports keep getting stepped on by other meetings. Please protect them. And when conflicts come up, prioritize these, not the other meetings. So this stuff doesn't necessarily have a finish line, right? And so another scenario would be like, hey, Scout, because it's always on and it's grounded in kind of the flow of what I'm doing, I could say something like, Well, actually, you could be scenarios where I haven't even asked Scout anything. Like it knows, and it could pop up and just say, "Hey, by the way, Ryan, heads up, you got a board meeting in 2 weeks. Yeah, I drafted some financials. Do you want me to reach out to the CFO for the latest numbers?" Like things I didn't even ask for, but it knows this based on kind of earlier priorities that I've shared with it. So I've set a direction. It's taking assignments, running with them, asking me for permission, but it's taking assignments. So I think that's a huge shift here, and I think really important in this kind of next chapter that we all recognize which tool is going to be right for the right purpose. I think there's going to be kind of breakaway moments for the folks who can do that.
Hey, so one thing, I love those examples. I think what might be helpful for people is if you think about it sort of the way you talked about it, Ryan, of Scout having its own identity, having its own mailbox, things like that, whatever, this whole idea of, I would think about Scout as a digital worker. It's its own entity. I've got human employees, and this is probably one of the first true digital workers you're going to see in the enterprise space. So that's a great mental model. Can it do the same things I do in Cowork? Yeah. Can it do the same things I do in Copilot? Yeah. From a technical, I can implement them and do them. But it's its own entity doing its own thing, following my direction. I think when I think about like Cowork, though, it's a little bit different. Yes, I could force it to do the types of things we're talking about with Scout, but then it's always doing it as me. This is me having delegated something to it. This is it acting on my behalf. All of those sort of things that come along with that. I think probably one of the things I think about with Cowork right now, since it's very real, it's generally available, lots of people have it. The question I'm getting a ton of is, what do I have it do? What do I need to have it do? How do I get it to do the things I want? And also, let's be frank, I don't want to spend a ridiculous amount of money doing something if I could have done it better. And so here's the real thing. I would think about it as use M365 Copilot to help you come up with help me think through the problem. What's the real challenge that I have? What am I not thinking about? Ask me questions, better understand what I'm looking for. Then have it sort of come up with, okay, let's take that and put it together and give it to Cowork, and now have Cowork go do it. So I do all of my sort of prep work and thinking about what's the business value to this thing I'm about to delegate out. Just like I would if I had a team of people working for me, right? Like in my example with you earlier, I wouldn't ask you, Ryan, you and your team, to go do anything for me that I hadn't thoroughly thought through and at least had a plan for how I'm going to evaluate whether or not it's good, right? So do that with Copilot, then delegate it out to Cowork. Eventually, once you've got all that and that's a habit for you, when Scout comes along and you get a hold of it, it'll be a lot easier to think about, what could I just hand off and not have to even think about anymore? That's the way I look at it.
It's a really good way to think about it.
I like that too, and I think it helps too, because I'm seeing a lot of where customers are almost reaching an exhaustion point of trying to keep up, or leaders are feeling like if we're not using the latest thing, the Coworks of things, then we're falling behind. When there's still, it's not like this one replaces the other, right? And it's not like the skills of Copilot use are irrelevant now that there's Cowork, or Cowork becomes irrelevant once there's more Scout. Like all of these things build and have their place, but keeping up with that can be exhausting. So I'm curious, how are you guys kind of coaching, or are you seeing that from your people as well? And how are you kind of coaching them on what's the right tool, how to react when the latest thing comes out? We used to see this a lot, and just not to keep muddying my point, but we used to see this a lot with the latest model, right? Like, ooh, the next model, we got to use that one. Do we have it yet? Oh, it's so much better, or it's different, and the answers are a little off compared to the previous one. Like, I feel like that fervor has calmed down a bit as models become more predictable in release times, and there's more equivalency, not necessarily perfectly, but there's experiences that you can get from both of the kind of two leading providers out there. So in that world, I feel like that's calmed down, but now we're reaching these kind of where it spans laterally, not just as we increment up the ladder in features, but now we we can use the tools in a variety of different ways, and that is a different level of chasing the shiny new toy. So that's what I think where people are getting exhausted. So my question was, how are you seeing that? Are people responding that way to you, and how are you advising?
Yeah, interesting, and great question. I think kind of maybe one of the elephants in the room around some of this is that Cowork and Scout are consumption based, and so there are some. It's not a all you can eat buffet, and so I think it is driving this kind of right tool for the right job. Agree that I think we're model side has calmed down, and but I don't know that we figured out. I think scenario based for us has been I think how we're trying to help people kind of think and appreciate both the core kind of capabilities of these tools, but I think walking through real world scenarios around like this is where something would be overkill to do in Cowork, because really anything you could do in chat you could do in Cowork, but there's many things, there's many reasons that there's many scenarios where you don't need that. Chat has all of the capabilities to do this on its own. But I think that same scenario, and some of this is just as people get a chance to experiment. So I think as somebody gets both all three of these tools, I think there's going to be scenarios where you try the same thing in all three, and you start realizing that I need to use kind of the certainly if I have an option to use a kind of all you can eat type tool and get the job done, I'm going to be doing that before I'm kind of in the consumption based world. And yeah, so yeah, anyway, I would love your perspective on this, Preston. And I think this is maybe if we got a moment, we should talk a little bit about the consumption side, because I think many of us were kind of token maxing with Cowork in Frontier, and we didn't have to be very efficient with how we used it. And I think this is part of the new reality that we've got access to some really powerful tools, but there is going to be some responsibility that comes with that.
I think it's a good point, and I'll address it. I want to sort of where I start with that part though is I think this is a moment for a cultural shift. So just for a moment, like you keep hearing that AI is going to change my job. I'll do my job differently. And everybody keeps going, what does that mean? What's really different? What changes? I go to this AI conference or I join this webinar, I do whatever, but what had changed about my day? And I think the biggest thing that you have to start to do for yourself, and if you're a leader, even within a small team, to really set forth is make it unambiguous for people to know when it's okay to use AI and when it's not. That's step number one. They have to know what they can and cannot use AI for in your organization. So setting that cultural precedent matters a lot, because then people can start to form habits, and the experimentation, or I like to use exploration process, is less of a thing I'm kind of doing in the shadows, and I'm instead using it as part of my work. I'm getting better at my job because I know that using AI well is a part of the job. Now that's the next piece. What does it mean to use AI well? And so instead of chasing the shiny object, what's the latest LLM model or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm biased clearly, but I think Microsoft's approach to this multi-model, just leave the thing on auto and let Microsoft decide what's going to be the best model to deliver the best outcomes at the most reasonable prices and those things. And there'll be more and more controls over time that'll come for that. But I think that's probably the first sort of thing I'm thinking about for some of these controls is I want to work with that. I think the next thing is really around what Ryan was saying about consumption based. What that means for anybody to know is when I have a license for M365 Copilot, it's a flat license for anything I use. When I have Cowork, I'm going to pay for my actual utilization of it. And so what I want to do is make sure that when I delegate something off to Cowork, that I've already thought it through. And so now it's me having responsibility. So even if I'm an individual contributor, as you mentioned, Aaron, right, where you and I are with AI, everybody is a manager of AI. And so I'm using Copilot to help me figure out what needs to be done, what needs to be next, what could I do that I haven't done in the past or I need to do differently, those types of things, whatever that is. I'm going to use Cowork when I have a business task of some sort that I can delegate out and I understand what's the business value to it up front. So now, even though there's going to be a cost for it, I can understand, hey, this is well worth the time to do that. And so as a result, I think that in the past, Ryan, we've been token maxing. There was no penalization for doing the same thing 6 times with slightly different prompts to see what would happen. Obviously, I would say that's something that I'll see change in organizations for sure.
Makes perfect sense. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well
And
said.
Aaron, last thoughts, and as we kind of move to wrap up.
No, I appreciate you guys humoring my curiosities there on your experiences as well. I think it was a really interesting conversation. I think we're all kind of going through this together, and this is a rapidly evolving space, right? So in 2 or 3 months, we might need to rehab this conversation and think about the new approaches or what's changed and things like that. But for now, I think we're in a really good place, and I think the approach that we discussed can hopefully apply and continue forward.
Couldn't agree more. All right. Well, we are running a little short on time, but one last shout out to join the members only users group. If you qualify, you can scan the QR code or click the link in the show notes to request access, and we'll approve qualified members. You'll get an invite to join the interactive monthly Teams meetings moving forward. For everyone else, follow the Copilot and Teams Users Group on LinkedIn and on YouTube to be notified of future shows and announcements and new content. And if today's show resonated with you, please share it with your network. A lot of effort going into these, and we want to try to get as wide a reach as possible. We'd also love for your feedback, and you can share comments in LinkedIn, and feel free to suggest topics that might be important to you or you'd like to see us cover in future broadcasts. Also, our July live show is taking place on July 29th. You can see that and all of our future shows on the Copilot and Teams Users Group LinkedIn and YouTube pages. So yeah, Preston, Aaron, any kind of closing thoughts before we wrap?
Hey, just one thing. Have you ever listened to a podcast or watched a webinar or whatever it is and wish you could tell the speakers what you really thought? I mean, ask questions. That's what I meant. This is your chance. Like, seriously, scan this thing, come join us. Because where else do you get the opportunity without having to pay some kind of subscription to come hang out with the people that you're watching and learning from? So come hang out with us, come see Kelly, ask more questions. Look forward to meeting y'all.
Awesome. And with that, we're going to wrap up this broadcast, and we transition immediately from here into the members only interactive session. So thank you for joining us live, and users group members, we will see you in just a moment.